Hi everyone, this is one of my class's favorite books and I thought I could share it with you. Once Upon a Shabbat. Now, what part of the book is this? That's right, it's the front cover. What part of the book is this? It's the back. This book was written by Jacqueline Jules and illustrated by Catherine Janice Kahn. Once Upon a Shabbat. Once upon a time, a grandma and a grandpa invited their grandchildren, Jacob and Shira, to spend Shabbat with them in their apartment in Brooklyn. On Friday morning, the grandma went into the kitchen to make her Shabbat pudding. She took out the noodles, the eggs, the pineapple, and the cinnamon. But when she went to the cupboard to get the honey, she saw the jar was empty. No, honey, she cried. I must have honey for my Shabbat pudding. She cupped her hands over her mouth and called, Jacob! Jacob! Come into the kitchen right away. What's up, Grandma? We have no honey to sweeten the pudding. Please go down to the corner store and buy some while I boil the noodles. Grandma gave Jacob a little money and he ran out of the apartment singing, Honey for Shabbat, honey for Shabbat. Jacob slid down the stairs to the street and skated 3 blocks to the store. Who's behind him? Do you remember? He paid for the jar of honey and skated 3 blocks back to the apartment building. But when he started up the stairs, a great big bear jumped at him and said, Give me your honey or I'll eat you up. Jacob looked at the bear and saw big white teeth and long pointy claws. He decided he didn't want to argue with this bear. He handed over the honey and ran up the stairs as fast as he could. Grandma, Grandma, he cried, a bear stole the honey. Grandma couldn't believe what she was hearing. She put her hands on her hips and asked, Are you cuckoo? There are no bears in Brooklyn. I guess I'll have to send your sister Shira. So she cupped her hands over her mouth and said, Shira! Shira! Shira came to the kitchen. What's up, Grandma? We have no honey to sweeten the pudding. Please go to the store and buy some while I add the pineapple. Grandma gave Shira a little money and she ran out of the apartment singing, Honey for Shabbat, honey for Shabbat. Shira walked down 4 flights of stairs to the street and 3 blocks to the corner store. She paid for the jar of honey and walked 3 blocks back to the apartment. Give me your honey or I'll eat you up, the bear roared. Shira looked at the bear and saw big white teeth and long pointy claws and decided she didn't want to argue with this bear. She handed over the honey and ran up the stairs as fast as she could. Grandma, Grandma, she cried, a bear stole my honey. Grandma couldn't believe what she was hearing. She put her hands on her hips and asked, Are you cuckoo? There are no bears in Brooklyn. I guess I'll have to send Grandpa. She cupped her hands over her mouth and yelled, Grandpa! Grandpa! Grandpa didn't come right away. He was older and he walked slower. It took a few minutes to come into the kitchen. What's the matter? Asked Grandpa. We have no honey for the Shabbat pudding. Please go down to the corner store while I beat the eggs. So Grandpa took a little money and he left the apartment singing, Honey for Shabbat, honey for Shabbat. Grandpa walked down 4 flights of steps and 3 blocks to the store. He paid for the honey and walked back to the apartment. But when he got back, a great big bear jumped out and roared, "Give me your honey, or I'll eat you up." Grandpa looked at the bear and saw big white teeth and long pointy claws and decided he didn't want to argue with this bear. He handed over the honey and ran up the stairs as fast as he could. "Grandpa," he cried, "Grandpa, a bear stole my honey." Grandma could not believe her ears. She put her hands on her hips and said, "Are you cuckoo? There are no bears in Brooklyn. I guess I'll have to get the honey myself." She walked down the stairs to the street and 3 blocks from the corner. She put her hat on and her jacket